Good morning everyone, I'm dela Peña and today I'm gonna show you how to play basketball. Our main objective is to demonstrate and discuss the rules and regulations of a basketball game, positions and different roles per player, proper way of shoots and layups, and executing dribble properly. But before that, what is a basketball? Basketball is a game played between two teams of 5 players, each on a rectangular court, usually indoors. The core objective in a basketball game is to score points by shooting the ball inside the hoop or the basket, and to prevent the opposing team from doing the same. Basketball was invented by James Naismith in Springfield, Massachusetts, Canada in 1891. After the basketball invented, this new game became popular throughout the United States as an indoor sport. The popularity is spread out overseas in the International Basketball Federation. FIBA was organized in 1932 in Geneva, Switzerland. Basketball was introduced to the Philippines in 1910 by Americans as a women's sport. The first name of basketball in the world is Naismith Ball.
Right, now let's talk about the rules of a basketball. Rule number 1, only 5 players per team on the court. Rule number 2, score more than your opponent to win. Field goals can be worth 2 or 3 points.
The field goal shots from outside of the arc are 3 points, and shots from inside the arc are 2 points. It can be jump shots, layups, or slam dunks to the rim.
Next is the violation in basketball. Violations are infringement of the rules that can be penalized with a turnover. During the game, the referee can call a different types of violations.
The first type of violation is when the ball goes out of bounds. When the ball carrier steps outside of the court or even on the line, the referee will call an out of bounds. As long as the ball has not touched the ground outside the court, a player can recover it by jumping as long as they started from within the court. The third type of violation is carrying the ball. This happens when a player puts their hand beneath the ball while dribbling and will lead to the referee calling a ball carrying. To avoid ball carrying, the player must control the ball, touching only the sides and the upper part of the ball. The fourth type of violation is the over and back. In offense, a team in possession of the ball in their opponent's half court cannot retreat back into their own half. Otherwise, an over and back is called. The ball is considered over as soon as it crosses the center line. The fifth type of violation is kicking. In basketball, deliberately kicking the ball is not allowed. On the other hand, if the ball bounced off foot by accident, the referee will let play continue. These are the main violations in basketball. Now, we will demonstrate the time violation. In basketball, there are 4 types of violations. The first violation is a 20 per second rule. The attacking team has 20 per second to attempt a field goal from the moment they take possession of the ball. If, by the 24 seconds, the team still hasn't taken a shot, the referee will whistle and turn over the ball to the other team. While the 20 per second counts, if the team shoots and catches the rebound without the ball touching the hoop, the 24 seconds will continue to count. However, during the 20 per second counts, if the ball has touches the hoop, the team gets another 14 seconds on the clock. The second violation is the 8-second rule. When the team gets the ball within their own half of the court, including turnovers, they have 8 seconds to get the ball into the opponent's half. The third type of violation is the 5-second rule. In the case of throwing, the player has 5 seconds to pass the ball to a teammate. During play, if the player in possession is under pressure from the opponent less than a meter away, they have only 5 seconds to pass, shoot, or dribble the ball.
The fourth type of violation is the 3-second rule. In offense, a player can stay in the key for longer than 3 seconds at a time.
To earn another 3 seconds, the player has to get both feet outside the key before going back in.
The penalty for all these violations is a turnover for the opponent.
Next, you will learn how not to travel. Traveling happens when you move the ball without dribbling. It is a violation which can be penalized with a turnover to the other team. To make sure you don't want to travel, be careful in these three situations. When you receive the ball while moving, when you receive the ball stationary, and when you start dribbling. First situation, when you receive the ball while moving. When you receive the ball, if you take 2 more than steps, you will be called out for traveling. To avoid this, remember to take no more than steps before releasing the ball for a shoot or a pass. If you have already 1 foot on the floor after dribbling or after receiving the ball, you will get 1 extra step. This step is called the 0 step.
Second situation, you receive the ball while stationary to orientate yourself and protect the ball.
You can turn on your 1 foot on the condition that this foot doesn't move. This is called the pivot foot. Once you catch the ball, if you take your pivot foot off the floor or slide it, the referee will call a travel. You may lift your pivot foot to shoot or pass, but you must release the ball before your foot touches the ground again.
Third situation is starting a dribble. When you start dribbling,
if you lift your pivot foot before you dribble, a travel will be called. To avoid this, make sure you release the ball before moving your pivot foot.
in defense, to avoid committing a foul, you have to block your opponent with chest and stand.
The defender can move backward or to the sides, but cannot deliberately run at the opponent to make contact. Any contact with the arms, shoulders, hips, or knees can be lead to a defensive foul and a penalty. While in possession of the ball, player and attack can be sanctioned for charging if they try to push past the defender already in position. As a general rule, it is a player defending or attacking who approach the opponent who has been penalized for committing a foul. If a player commits 5 fouls, they are excluded from the game. When the foul is called, if the player isn't in the process of shooting, the ball is turned over to the other team. However, if the player is shooting at the basket when the foul is called, they will be granted free throws. There are 2 possible cases. If the shot misses, the player is granted 2 or 3 free throws depending on the value of attempted shot. If the shot is scored, the points are granted and the player granted 1 free throw. If the team commits 4 fouls during the same quarter, each new foul will be penalized by 2 free throws. Point guard, also called the 1 or the point, is one of the 5 traditional positions in a regulation basketball game. A point guard has perhaps the most specialized role of any position, and is usually the shortest player on the court. Point guard are responsible for bringing the ball up the court and facilitating the plays. It is also excellent in passing and handling a ball, and its primary role is to run offense.
Shooting guard, also known as the 2 guard or off guard, is one of the 5 traditional positions in a regulation basketball game.
A shooting guard's main objective is to score true 3-pointers and mid-range shots. They can also drive and finish at the rim and steal the ball on defense. Shooting guard is also moving without the ball in order to be open to receive a pass or shoot.
Forward, also known as the 3, is one of the 5 positions in a basketball game. Small forward is typically shorter, quicker, and leaner. It can also guard multiple positions.
Small forward is a flexible position that assists with offensive and defensive rebounding, but is also responsible for ball handling, along with the point guard and shooting guard.
Power forward, also known as the 4, is one of the 5 traditional positions in a regulation basketball game. Traditionally, power forward have played a similar role to the center and are typically the second tallest player on the court.
Power forward is playing near the basket while rebounding and defending taller players. Power forward is strong, powerful, larger, and taller.
Lastly, the center, or the centre, also known as the 5, the big or the pivot, is one of the 5 traditional in the regulation basketball game. The center is almost always the tallest player on the team and often has a great deal of strength and body mass as well.
Center is playing near the basket. On offense, the center tries to score on close shots and rebounds. On defense, the center tries to block opponent's shots and rebounds their misses. Center has also super rebounding skills. After knowing the rules and regulations and positions of a player, now let's move on to the dribbling. A player in possession of the ball can only move while dribbling. Therefore, it is essential for you to master the basic technique. To dribble well, work on these 3 steps: positioning yourself properly, controlling the ball, and dribbling low. First, positioning yourself. Stand in dribble threat position. Draw your hips back slightly to reduce the distance between the ball and the ground. Keep your back straight and your head up to take in as much as you can from the surroundings. Secondly, controlling the ball on dribbling. If your hands go underneath the ball when you dribble, you are considered to be carrying the ball, and the ball will be turned over to the other team. Thirdly, dribbling low. Never dribble higher than your hip level. You should dribble at knee height. If your dribble is low and controlled, it will be difficult for your opponent to steal the ball from you. The higher and slower the dribble is, the more risk losing the ball. Practice dribbling with both hands, as you won't always be use your dominant hand during the game. Also try to practice the behind the back dribble and between the legs dribble. Also practice some safety moves like the crossovers, jab, cross, and in and out. Those are the dribbles that can be useful during the game.
Now, we already know the rules and regulations of a basketball game, the position and different roles of a player, and the correct way of dribbling. Now let's talk about shooting. Alright, you will learn the action used when shooting. During game, each player will shoot at the same point, so learning the correct technique is so essential.
To perfect your shooting action, work on these 3 steps: positioning yourself well, preparing the shot, and shooting at the basket.
First, positioning yourself.
Make sure your feet are turned toward the basket, shoulder width apart, and the knees bend. Support the ball with your dominant hand. Your thumb and your index finger should form a V shape. Place your weaker hand on the side of the ball. Your thumb should form a T shape.
Secondly, preparing a shot.
Bring your dominant hand below the ball with your fingers spread out and pointing upward, then bring it up with the level of your eyebrow. From this moment, your eyes should be fixed on the basket. Align your foot, knee, elbow, and shooting hand with the basket. Thirdly, shooting at the basket. While pushing down with your legs, launch your arm forward, following the ball. Release it at the highest jump as possible. To finish the movement, flick your wrist of your dominant hand to give the ball some backspin. You should finish in the rim with your fingers pointing down toward to the ground in the direction of the basket.
Layup is very often in the game. The layup is the easiest way to score, as it is the shot taking closest to the basket. To go layup, work on these 2 steps: jumping and releasing the ball. First, jumping.
Layup is a running shot as you're shooting in the movement after a dribble. Dribble to one side of the basket using your outside hand to keep the ball out your opponent's reach. Take the ball in your both hands to stop your dribbling, keeping it near your hips to protect it from your opponent. If you're shooting from the right of the basket, step forward on the right foot first. Push off with this foot to take a big step forward without losing any speed. Put your left foot on the floor. Push off with left foot to jump, raising your right knee in towards your chest to gain height. For strong, take off your foot to be within the key. If you take your first step too soon, you'll be far from the basket. When you jump, if your steps too late, you will lose all your speed and won't jump enough.
Secondly, when releasing the ball.
As you jump toward the basket, lift your right hand toward the hoop. Hold the ball from beneath with your fingers pointing forward to do a layup. You can also try the overhand layup by placing your hand beneath the ball with your fingers pointing upward as for a classic throw. Release the ball at the highest point of your jump. Aim for the top right corner of the squares on the backboard and you will almost certainly score. You can also do the sidearm. Spin the ball with your thumb and a fully extended arm to hit the backboard and make a shot. You can also do a layup facing the basket. To do this, you'll need to shoot without hitting the backboard. To master layups and get used to protecting the ball, try practicing against defenders and shooting from the both sides of the basket. Alright, thank you for listening and I hope you learned a lot from my tutorial. Wait, I have here 4 drills that I can share to you. I have here 4 drills that will make you shifty. Also, you can do it every day. Starting from V-pound. This will teach you how to control the ball. Next, we have the pound drop twin. If you want to be like the guy Kyrie, they're great in moving the ball high and low. Thirdly, chair touch for off-hand activation that can be key for preventing stealing the ball. Lastly, we have the leather work. It gotta give you coordination to the movement and dribble at the same time. Thank you.
Specialized